Greetings, 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 everyone. Steve, Paracord Kindness. How you doing today? Hopefully your weaving's been happy. Okay, what I have for you today is I'm going to show you how to make a harmony bracelet. This one we'll give credit right here, right now. This is a Cetus 550 weave. As far as I know, I can't find a tutorial for this on YouTube, so I figured I'd make one, fill in the gap. But this is from his, what is it, Live Paracord Volume 1. It's not a very complicated weave, and it's good results. Good results. It's black, neon green and neon orange. You can do like the contrasting color theme. Here's another one in the contrast. You know, gray, maroon, and space blue. Or you can do this one, which is kind of all, you know, like a color theme, like a grayscale for this one. Black, anthracite, and charcoal gray. Right? But the one we'll be working on today is an olive theme. What we have here is Spinach Green, Stealth Olive, and Olive Drab. I'll go ahead and tell you up front, this one, let you see the back of it. This one it's a thicker bracelet. It's not very wide or anything, but it is thick. So the add to on this one's a little bit more than, you know, just be mindful of that. Okay, but with that said, if you want to see how I make this and all the tips, tricks, and commentary that I'm known for, and in this one, I'll show you some of the mistakes that I personally made when I was learning how to do this one. And I'll point them out and how not to do them in hopes that you will learn from my mistakes. But if you want to see how I do this, stick around because I'm going to get right to it, folks. Okay, folks, I'm back. I'm set up, ready to start weaving. But before we do, let's get the housekeeping things out of the way. For those who don't know, you've never heard me say this before, I'll say this. I am not a filmmaker. Don't have the best equipment. Camera won't stay. I can't get the camera to focus the best, and I can't seem to stay in frame. My lighting's not the best and all that. But, like I say, most of you have seen my work. I know how to make a paracord bracelet, and I try to explain to you not just the over here, under here, pull tight, but the over here, under here, pull it this direction and this tight. That way, everything lines up and everything looks good. Learn from my mistakes. And speaking of which, I will get to some mistakes I have made on this bracelet. Hopefully, I can pass that information on to you and you won't make them. Okay, that's that. What's next? I'm going to give credit where credit's due. This one, the reason I'm making this tutorial is I've had a few people ask about the tutorial, or a tutorial, but as far as I know, there's no YouTube tutorial for this. And usually that's when I make one, right? This weave is, obviously from the title, it's called Harmony. Not the Harmony, just Harmony. But I found this in one of Cetus 550. Most of you know who he is. In one of his books. What is it? Live Paracord Volume 1, page 74. That's where I found this. And, you know, I sat down and messed with it, and I made a few of these, and I'll show you some of my first attempts or whatever, some of my older ones, I should say. And, I'll show you some of the mistakes I made, and I'll show you how not to make those same mistakes. Right? Okay, so credit where credit's due. Let's see, specifications. I'm using it's a 15 millimeter. What do they label it as? I get them at Paracord EU. A 15 millimeter black metal safe buckle. Most of you have seen my bracelets. You can see it right here. I'll zoom in. You can see what these things look like. Now you can get these off of, you can get the same style off of Amazon, but the quality I have found not to be all that great. Paracord EU, always good quality from those guys over there in the Netherlands. Okay, but with that said, let's see. 15 millimeter, which is equivalent to a 5/8 inch buckle. I'm making this bracelet today to fit a wrist of 7 3/4. This is for a customer, and this customer likes the olive drab, those type colors. So we're going to use all those together today. But his wrist is a 7 3/4 inch wrist. The add to for me in my weaving style and all that kind of stuff is right at 2 inches. Now you can make it 2 1/8 inch if you'd like. But I've been going with 2 inches, and it seems to be working quite nicely. So what we got measured here from connection point between the female and the male end of the buckle at the top is 7 3/4 plus the 2 inches. So it's 9 3/4. So from this connection point between the male and the female to the connection point at the bottom, which you can't quite see in the frame, but you understand what I'm saying. Okay, that's that. It's a 4-core strand. If you don't know how to set up the 4-core strand, single cow hitch, run it down, go through the top, do your 2 cow hitches on either side, and come back up, do a little knot. Go look in the description below, and you'll see a link to, what is it, core strand setup playlist or something like that. And I got 2 separate videos. At least I think I got 2 separate videos. I know I've got 2. I may have 3 on the setup of a full 4-core strand. One is just a quick cut, simple, bam, here's how you do it. I got a deep cut, which is me kind of, giving tips, tricks, commentary, why I do it this way, blah, 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 that kind of thing. Okay, that's that. The amount of cord I'm using today. Now, like I said, I think somebody commented on one of my last videos. Like I'll tell you, I'm going to give you the links right now, but the final amended links of cord will be in the description. Look there first, because I'll tell you, here's your tip. I always overestimate on purpose. Why? Because I want to have enough cord to finish the bracelet. If that means I've got 5 feet of scrap to cut off on the end, so be it. I don't care. The cord's not that expensive. People, I don't understand it. But, I get it. You want to zero it in and get it wired down perfectly and all that. I get it. But me, I would rather have more than enough cord and then be able to finish the bracelet than to get close to the end and realize, oh, I didn't have enough. I didn't cut enough cord. Right? So a lot of times when I do these videos, I give you these measurements while I'm talking. Sometimes it's too much, but sometimes it's right on the money, right? So no matter what I tell you in this video, look in the description below, because I give you all the information you need. I give you the size of the wrist I'm making it for to add to, and the lengths of all the cord. Bam. And I think I even put in there down there the colors I've used. But, right? Okay, so with that said, specification. 4-strand core. And this right here, this color here, I'll show you these colors I got. Where's the other one at? Yeah, here it is. I haven't got it up here yet, just yet. But I'll show you these colors. Like I said, this one is going to be kind of an olive green theme on this bracelet. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. We can get this up here close enough to the camera so it can be seen and get the shadow out of it. I apologize. I'm still trying to figure out how to get all these shadows out. So like I said, I'm not a filmmaker, man. The lighting is not the best, but you get the gist. Let's see. This is going to be the core strand and the edges, which is, it's a Spinach Green is what it's called. It comes from Paracord EU. Here, let's do this, man. This has got to be an easier way to do this. Yeah. Spinach Green. And then the 2 colors that are going to be in the middle, this is Stealth Olive, which is probably one of the darkest greens I've found. And then this one is just normal Olive Drab. Right? And, you've seen the bracelet. So this edge here is going to be this Spinach Green. And the Stealth Olive and Olive Drab will be the 2 colors running down here. And I'm going to have the Stealth Olive on one side, on this side. Alright? Okay, so that's that. Now, I'll say this one. This weave right here, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. Once you see how it's done, the overs and unders, it's not hard. And then, like the pulling it tight and all that, it's not really that difficult. But I'll show you, like I said, I'll show you some of the mistakes I made in the beginning, and I'll point these out. You know, like I was just talking to somebody. I said, we learn from our mistakes. The first couple of ones of these I made, I was like, yeah, that doesn't look right. I said, let's make another one and be mindful of that and see what I was doing wrong, and we'll fix that, right? So, you know, I've made a few since then, and I figured out what it is. And it's not anything difficult. It's just, it's not something we always do. Like I've said before in my videos, you weave it, and every now and then look at the back side of it, because there's a pattern on the back too. And you can often tell, like if you've pulled something and you got something not right, not adjusted, not sitting right, you can look on the back. It may look correct on the front, but you look at the back and you're like, yeah, something's not right. Perfect example, this bracelet. I'll show you. It's black, neon green, and neon orange. And it looks pretty good on the front. Now let's look at the back of it. Yeah, it's all, see how the green and the orange is all kind of, it looks pretty good right here. To get down here and you're like, what? It's all wonky. It's all out of whack. Yeah, exactly. Front looks great. Back, you're like, what's going on there? Now, granted, you know, when you wear it, you're not going to see it, but we still want our product to look good, right? And yeah, this right here is I don't like this. I do not like this. I'll tell you, I don't like it that way. But I've learned from my mistakes, and I'll show you. It's not that anything hard. Another thing I did, you'll see this, just the way this one's done, it's kind of the wrap around or whatever. It kind of, I get to moving so fast doing this that I get my main cord strands kind of out of whack. And I got, whoa, stop. Make sure you're doing those right. Make sure you got everything right before you try to tighten it up. Right? But that's the biggest thing, you know, is that right there. You know, even though it's the back or whatever. But it's not anything difficult. So, let's see. With that said, I'm going to zoom in and we're going to start this. Did I give you all the information? 15 millimeter or 5/8 inch metal safe buckle for a 7 3/4 inch wrist, and the attitude's 2 inches. So I measured it at 9 3/4. Oh yeah, we got cord length. I cut 11 feet of this Spinach Green and the cord strands, and then this Olive Drab right here, I've cut 6 feet, which is probably going to be more than I need. But like I say, the amended measurements will be in the description. Look there first. Okay, and the other color is just basic Olive Drab, and this also 6 feet. And I haven't put it in here yet. Whatever. I went ahead here. I'll zoom in so you can see this. And I think in that last video I made, I was talking about sometimes these bracelets, you got to make a distinction between cord strand setup and cord orientation in order to begin weaving, right? Well, this one, you got to get your cords up here set up in the right place, which is not that big of a deal. It's pretty easy, but I'm going to zoom in just so you can see this, what I've done here. All I've done with this one is just stick it through the middle of all the cords, right in the middle, through that middle of that cow hitch. And I've got it hanging out the back. That's the way I've done this, okay? And the reason I've got so much hanging out the back is because what I'm eventually going to do is once I get done weaving, I'll attach my fid to this and I'll back weave it through there, and then I'll cut it off. You see what I'm saying? But I want enough to be able to, you know, have something to work with when I get done. That's what that is. But this one, whichever color you want, whichever color, we're going to start weaving up here and go down. Whichever color you want on this, not the outside edge, that's the cord strands. But this darker, this is black, anthracite, and charcoal gray, if anybody's wondering. This anthracite, the color on this side, is that's the one you'd put right there in the middle. Okay, like this. Right, just stick it through that cow hitch and have it hanging out the back. And the one on this, the charcoal gray, the color that's on this side, that's going to be this Olive Drab. And the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to just put it between these two slot right, this slot right here. You know, have you enough hanging out the back, and then just kind of take it and just push it up in there. You know, I've got my cord strings are tight enough that it'll stay up there on its own. I don't have to hold it or anything. And once I get weaving, it'll be good to go. Okay, so that's it. That's all there is to setting this one up. Now, to actually weave it, it's not that hard. It's really not. Let's get this out of the way first. Let's get these out of the way. Right? Okay, first thing you're going to do, let's back out just a little. Let's back out a little bit more so you can actually see what I'm doing. Let's see if we can't get these up out of the way. Okay, it's not that hard. You're gonna take the one on the left, and you're gonna go over 1 and under 3. You know what? Yeah, give me just a second, folks. I should have did this. I've gotten into the habit of doing this, especially for these videos, because it seems to make it a little bit easier to see. But I can't reach them right here, the way I've got my camera and everything set up. So give me just a second. I apologize, folks. I apologize. I should have did this before I set up. Give me just a second. Okay, I'm back. What I'm gonna do. This is something I've just started doing recently, and I haven't got into the habit of this. But I'm gonna put the fids or the lacing needles here. Let's back out. Okay, I'm gonna put the lacing needles on here just so it'll make it. Hopefully, it'll make it a little easier for you to see, you know, the overs and the unders or whatever. Okay, make sure we got that thing in there good. We're going to put one on here. Like I've said in the past, folks, these are brass fids with a blunted tip. And I got these for Paracord EU. And these things are by far the best fids I've ever had. I just leave it at that. You know, I bought a few from Amazon. I bought some from various U.S. Paracord suppliers and things. But these, they're awesome. They have a rounded blunted tip, and the diameter of the actual needle itself is smaller than the ones I've gotten here in America. So that makes it easier. You get less cord pokes, but because of the smaller diameter, it goes through a lot easier. Okay, now let's go ahead and put some on the two accent colors, I guess we'll call them. Oof. Yeah, I don't know if I might have to do a little burn on that one. Let's see. No, it's on there. Okay. And then the other one. Alright, like I said, folks, I apologize. Okay. So, what we're going to do, we're going to start with this one over here. And let me zoom back in so we can see this. I said this won't take very long. Once I get started, it won't take long. It's not a difficult weave at all. It's really not. You just be mindful. All right. Okay. You got 4. You're going to come with this side, and we're going to go over 1 and under 3. And that's it. And pull out, not all your slack, but pull out the majority of your slack. All right. And we're going to do the same thing with this one on the other side. We're going to go over 1 and under 3. And just pull your slack out. We see that it's similar to a trilobite, and that's one of the mistakes I was making. I'm just used to making trilobites, and I kind of whatever. It's similar, but not quite the same. Okay, now, what we're going to do is we're going to start, like I said, you got the two accent colors. You got the one, we're going to say the one on this side, which is in the middle, cow hitch, and you got the one on this side, okay? So, let's do this. Put this one over here and get this one. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just get the end of this cord. Right. Okay, so what we're going to do here, hopefully you'll be able to see this. This one that's coming down, this is the end of it. You're going to go through this first slot. And what we're going to do is we're going to go underneath these two middle cord strands and these two that have crossed. You're going to go underneath every bit of that. And then you're going to come back up in this last slot on that side. We see that? And we're going to you just pull your excess through. And I'm not going to tighten it up real, or nothing like that. We're going to leave it loose for right this second. And then we're going to just take this, kind of get this out of the way. Just kind of get it out of the way. This direction. Kind of lay it over the top. And just get it out of the way. Okay, now we're going to do this other one. This other accent that's coming off of this side, right? And we're going to do the exact same thing we just did. But we got to make sure that these two, when they're running through here and all this, that the orientation of those two stay the same. That way they stay in the same place. The front will look right. And then that back, like I showed you on the other one, so all that won't be all crazy looking like that one bracelet. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to go through that first slot again. And just like before, we're going to go underneath them two main cord strands and these two that have crossed. We're going to go underneath every bit of that. And then we're going to come up. But when we come up, here's the thing right here. When we come up on this, in this slot right here, don't come up here. Come up here, below this other accent. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? And then when you pull your slack out, so here's where it's coming from. We're going to go underneath this right here. And you're going to pull your slack out this direction, or your excess out this direction toward this side. Okay, now, I know this is probably going to be hard to see because everything's green. But if we look close, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. This accent color here, if we look right down here, it's more toward the top, toward the buckle, than the other accent down here in this slot. And it's the same way on this side. You see how the accent that's for this side of the bracelet is coming out more toward the top of the bracelet, toward the buckle, than the other accent color is toward the bottom. We see that? Just make sure you keep that orientation, and where they go, where those two accent cords go across the back, make sure you don't have them crossed back there, and your orientation will look correct. It'll be correct. It won't be all, you just got to maintain that consistency. And first, you know, that when I made that bracelet, it was one of the first time I made this thing. And I was just making the thing, and I was like, yeah, I didn't do that right. But that's one of the mistakes I made. I learned from that. Okay, now all we're going to do here is just kind of loose cinch everything up. Right? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my fingers, I'm going to just kind of push everything toward that top buckle. And pull the two accent cords, or not the two accents, the two main weaving cords, your cord string cords on either side. Just kind of pull them. You know, you don't have to wrench them down or anything. Just give them you know, not a loose cinch, a good tight cinch, but you know, you don't have to go over crazy with it. But this one right here, This one on this side, this accent color, tighten that one up first. Tighten that one up first. And all you do is just kind of pull it straight up. You know, just kind of pull it straight up, kind of down this direction like this. And then the other one, the other accent, you do the same thing. You just pull it up. Alright? And like you've seen me do before, you can take your thumb and kind of roll across that front, and it'll push that slack and the excess down, and you can get it all out. And that's it. That's all there is to this one. And you just have to repeat it. It's not that hard. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to get these two out of the way. And all we're going to do is we're going to do this again. Alright, I'll show you with the fit again. You go over 1 and under 3. And just pull the excess through. Okay. Now the same thing over here. This is the main core strand working in. We're going to do the same thing with that one. Alright. We're going to go over 1 and under 3. I'm going to pull the excess through. Okay. And all it's doing when you come around and you go over this outside one is creating this little wraparound. But you got to make sure, because I make sure you go over 1 and under 3 from this direction, and over here you go over 1 and under 3. Because if you get that wrong, it'll cause, like, you look at this bracelet from the front, no problem. I can see it, and I'll point out what I'm talking about. You see right there, you can see a little bit of that gray through there. It's like something's not sitting right. Okay, now look. You see how that one gray piece, it's not doing right? It's because I didn't go over 1 and under 3. I got it wrong right there. I made one little mistake. Like I say, from the front you don't quite notice. I kept looking at it going, why can I see a little gray there and everything else looks great? And I started looking and I was like, oh, something's out of whack right there. See what I'm saying? I make mistakes too, but I learn from them. And I was like, be mindful. Over 1, under 3, over 1, under 3. That's all there is to it. And then again, we can take the accent color from this side. Alright. We're going to go accent color from this side, right here. We're going to go down through this slot, underneath the 2 main strands, and these 2 are the 2 core strands and the 2 working ends from the core strands. Go underneath all 4 of those, and then come up right there. Does that make sense? And then pull the excess there. Whoa, hang on. Let's get back up there. Alright. Like I said, take that one and move it off to this side. Alright. Over the top of both of those. And then you take your other accent, find the end of it. We're going to do the same thing. But remember, same thing. Through the slot here, under everything, you know, the 2 core strands and the 2 working ends of your bracelet. And then we're going to come up in this last slot, just like the other accent, but we're going to make sure we do it below. Not up here, but right there. And now this one, when you come out, make sure you go up under and come out this direction. Make sense? And now we just kind of give everything a little loose cinch. I push everything up. Got a loose cinch, right? And you already see the pattern starting to form. Push it up. Kind of pull this. And I'll go ahead and say this. The wraparounds here, where I just did the over one and the under three, they'll get out of whack. This side over here will want to sit lower. So what I'll do is after I give it this little loose cinch, I'll kind of push up on this side just a little bit. You know, kind of try to even it up a little bit. It's not going to be perfect. Just the nature of the things, the way the thing's woven together. But, you know, trying to get it even. Right? But that's it. You just push everything up, tighten this thing down. You don't have to wrench it down or not. Just pull it, push it up. And then this one, just pull it kind of straight up, back to you, maybe this direction, push it up, push everything up that way, kind of pull it. You can roll your thumb across it, kind of loosen it up, or push it up, I mean. I'm going to spin this thing around. Look, yep, everything looks good on the back. That's it. That's all there is to this one. It's not that hard once you get it. Okay, we're going to do this one more time, and I'm showing you. This is what I'm going to do. Check it out. I'm going to take these fids off, and I'm going to just weave this thing. I'm going to back out a little bit, and I'm going to just kind of start weaving this thing so you can see, you know, like the motions I do or whatever. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was telling them, I said, you know, when I go to make a bracelet for the first time, I said, what I'll do, where's the other one at? Okay, I guess I got them all. But I was telling them, I said, when I go to make a bracelet for the first time, here's your little tip, trick, whatever. When I go to make a bracelet for the first time, I'll go and try to find all the tutorials. You know, I'll look on YouTube, type in, this is what I do, like this one, harmony. You're not going to find any as far as I know. But I type in harmony, paracord, bracelet, search. And, you know, if it spits back 3-4 videos on that same bracelet, I'll watch every one of them. I won't jump the gun and start trying to make the thing. I'll watch all those videos. And see how this one guy does it. Now, obviously, most of them are their overs and the unders are going to all be the same. But if you watch how they do it and the motions they use with their hands and how they do it, and you know, that's the stuff that a lot of people don't instruct you on. That's simply you learn that from doing it yourself and or paying attention to the way they move their hands in those videos. Does that make sense? And that's what I try to convey in my videos. Not necessarily the over here, under here, pull tight, but the over here, under here, pull it this direction and this tight. And like I said, some of these knots, not this one, but some of these bracelets, the knot is done in such a way that you can't just go and pull the whole thing tight. You got to tighten this section and then this section and this section and then finally tighten it all up to get it to look right. That's what I try to show in my video. But with that said, like I do with most of these, after I explain it, show you the overs and the unders, no problem. I'm going to just let you watch me do this. Let me back up just a little bit more. That way, maybe you get something out of this, maybe you don't. I know it's probably going to be hard to see. We're going to take the accents or whatever. But you can see me do this. And I usually try to combine as many steps as I can. Go over 2, or over 1 and under 3, and I did it all in one motion right there. Now, so that's everything. Now I'll just tighten it up. once I get it all up there, that's when I give it a good, good tightening. Maybe let me zoom in just a little bit more. Maybe you can see it. Now I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna kind of spin it. Make sure everything's orientated on the back, like I showed you the mistakes. I'm gonna make sure I'm not doing that. Make sure everything was looking good. Let's zoom in just a little bit. Here. All right, let's do that again. Get these dangles out of the way. All right. We'll go up under these two right here, the two accents. You go over one. I can do this fast. Over one and under three from each direction. As I'm doing this, make sure that this second accent piece is getting orientated. The two accent pieces are orientated together like I showed you. That way your back side will be right. Alright, got it all done. Just kind of push it all up. Give it kind of a loose cinch. Look at it. Make sure it looks right before you go to tighten it down. And then kind of push it up. Kind of good cinch. And make sure when you pull these, look at your edges. Make sure it's not getting pulled too much and causing the bracelet to start to get narrow, or you're not pulling it enough and it's starting to get fat. You want it to be rather even. Alright, so we don't. Alright. And then this accent on this side, tighten it up, push up, tighten it up. That's all there is to that, okay? We'll do this again for you. Last time, over one and three from both respective sides and just stick it together. Alright, take this accent, through that first slot, down, up under all four of those core strands and the working ends, and then up through the last slot on this side. And just push slack through, push it that direction. Do the same thing with the other one. Do that first slot from this side, go down, up under everything, and come out on this side. But make sure that those two accents are orientated when they're running through there. And pull your slack through. Pull your two working strands, push it up, pull that accent, Okay, now we got a loose cinch on everything. Look at it, make sure everything looks good. Good to go. Yeah, good to go. Now, if you look, I'll show you what I was talking about. I'll zoom in, hopefully you'll be able to see this. You see how this wraparound piece here and this wraparound piece, you see how they're off kilter like? We want them to be relatively, they're not going to be perfectly even. Doesn't matter. You're not going to get them perfect, but you want them, as close, as level as you can get them. They're still going to be off just a little bit. It's just the nature of the way this bracelet is. But we don't want them so far crazy off like this, right? That's why I say when you get to that step, after the loose cinch, just kind of push up on this side a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Kind of pull it down on this right here and push up on that side. And it'll straighten it up just a little bit. Right? And then give you a tighten up right there. And then tighten up this one. Take that finger and roll it. Make sure the way these are all crossing, the two accent colors are coming together. Make sure everything looks good. All right, let's see that. One more time. Loose cinch. I'll push it up. Get the wraparounds. Kind of try to get them a little even if you can. No big deal. Try. Alright. Tighten this one up. Tighten this one up. Right. That's it. That's all there is to this one, man. It's not that hard of a bracelet. Just make sure, like I said, that my biggest mistake was the orientation of these two accent colors as you're working them down through, you know, wrapping them around that back side. I had that, like I said, that first one, the front of it looked great. But if you don't stop and flip it over, that's what I'm doing. I kind of bend this thing around. I can see it. I know you can't see it on camera, but I can see it. That's what I'm looking at. To make sure, yeah, they're all orientated the same way. You see how, like, right here, you got the orange kind of on the bottom on this side and the green on the top kind of on this side. Does that make sense? And you see how all these three right here, these three or four, that's the way it's supposed to look. See how it kind of got out of whack? This because I wasn't paying attention to it. I wasn't thinking about that, which I know I'm supposed to, and I should. Like I tell you all the time, do a little bit and stop and flip it over and look at the back of it. But I was in such a rush doing it, I didn't even think about it, and that was my mistake. But there you go. That's all there is to this one. I'll get this thing weaved out, and I'll come back and I'll show you how I finish it off. We'll do the cut and burn, and we'll do the size thing right there on the camera like I always do. But for that, I'll be back in a second, folks. Okay, folks, I'm back. Got it weaved out to the end. We'll show you how I'll finish it up. You know, tuck these under, back weave them under there, and how I'm going to do the end of this. And for most of you who watch my videos, I'll say this: I always will get all the cords on the back side, the back of the bracelet, the non-display side, and I will do the cut and burns there. That way, I don't have any on the sides or any on the top. To me, that's just unprofessional looking. And I will try my best to get them all in the same spot on the back. They're going to be on the back. There ain't no question about that. But I'm going to try to get them all in the same spot so there's one cut and burn. Okay? But, let's see. I'll hold this up here so you can see it. Turned out pretty good. Okay. So, let's zoom in. Let me look at this thing. Let me hold it here at an angle. Let's see. Get this one over here. Okay, here are two core strand working ends and our two accent colors. Okay. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm going to do. Okay, let's see. Maybe I can finish it off like that, and that will be, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, what I've done, just so we can see this, these two right here, I've done them like we've done the whole time, right? Over one, under three, over one, under three, right? That's it. Okay, now, to finish this one off, I'm going to do it just slightly different. I'm going to try to maintain the design of the weave, but I'm going to do it slightly different. That way it kind of fills in. If you look how everything's kind of got this angle to it. So over here it's all real close to the end, but over here there's a little bit of a gap. Well, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to do it in such a way that it's going to fill in this little gap. That way we don't have a little tiny gap on this side of the bracelet. That's what I'm going to try to do. It's the way I've done the last two or three. And they've turned out pretty good. Right? Okay, so this first one, the first accent piece, the darker one that's on this side, right? All I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, but I'm going to go through below where this piece is wrapped around. See, before we were going through, and then we were coming up. We're not going to come up. We're just going to go through and leave it hanging on the back, right? So we're going to go through below this wraparound piece, in between these two core strands, which I know it's kind of hard to see this core strand on this side, but there's two of them, right, coming out of this cow hitch. You see, there's two of them. They go through the hitch and come out, but we're going to go between those two, right below this one. That's going to be a little bit of a tight fit, but I'll get it through there. See what I'm saying? And we're just going to pull our excess through. Mindful of twist. Always be mindful of your twist. Alright? And now this next one, we're going to do it the same way, but we're going to go through between the, you got two core strands on this side and two core strands on this side. We're going to go through the middle of all of them. Not over here where we've been doing it, but through this middle. So it's still going to give us that angle on that second accent piece, but it's going to kind of fill in this side of that where there's nothing at. That's our attempt anyway. That's what I'm thinking. Now we're going to pull it and we're going to see. Yeah, I think that'll work. I mean, it's still a little bit of a I wonder if I could. Let's see. Let me see. Hang on. Let me look at this. If I do it again, it's not going to look right. Okay, I think what I'm going to do, you see how there's still a little bit of a, okay. I think this is what I'm going to do, because there's still a little bit of room down here, but I don't think it's quite enough to do a whole nother repetition of, the complete weave. So what we'll do is these are the two accent colors. Right? Is that right? Yeah. These are the two accent colors. I'm going to get them out of the way, but I'm going to take the two main working strands, the core strand ones, right? And I'm going to do this again. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down through the center. Down through this center where you see this little gap right here. I'm going to put both of them down through there. Right? And it's going to give just another one more wrap around. Right? I'll pull that one through. See how it did? I'm going to do this one that way. See, now it kind of fills in. It fills in that little bit of space you got there. Right? Okay, now we got that in there. Okay. So, okay, here's the fun part. I always love doing this. Those who've watched my videos, I put this on that thing on here. I pull this thing pretty tight, put some tension on it, and when I go to release this, just so you see how much tension I put on this thing, you're going to see. You're going to see this thing. You'll see this thing probably move a little bit, but you'll see the gap in between the connection point. See what I'm saying? See how it won't go back in there now. Right? Okay, well, that's it. We're going to get this off the jig. Get the jig out of the way. I've said this in some of my past videos. I always kind of try to wipe, any dirt or debris or anything like that off. Because what we're about to do is we're going to put this bracelet display side down. And we don't want any dirt, debris, fuzz, lint, whatever you may have on your desktop. We don't want that to get stuck to the bracelet. Right? Because we're going to flip it display side down. And we're going to lay it down. Okay. First things first. Let's look at, before I do this, I always say, here's how much cord I have left. These are the two long ones. Here, let's see. The two long ones, that's the two accent colors. What I say I'm measuring them out at, I measured these out at 6 feet. And this was for a 7 3/4 inch with an add to of 2 inches. Therefore, it would be 9 3/4 inch bracelet length. There's a foot. Almost 2 feet on both of those. So, you know, I'll amend the measurements. I'll put it down as 5 feet instead of 6 feet. And that's what I'll put down in the description below. That'll be for the 2 accents. Now, for the 2 main working ends, the 2 ends that come off our core strands, we got about, what do we got? About 8 inches hanging off of each, almost of each. One's a little bit longer than the other. I'm going to just leave that like it is. Like I said, I'd rather have enough to make sure, because I know sometimes, I'll say this, I made one of these the other day, and I made it in all polyester, and that affected how much cord I used and the measurement, the add to measurement. Just a little bit, not much, but a little bit. I noticed a difference. So, you know, I'm going to go ahead and leave this at the, what'd I say? I did it at 11 feet. I'll leave it at 11 feet. That way we know we have enough to finish the bracelet. Now, like I say, if you're making this, the bracelet for a smaller wrist, you obviously, you know, your best guess, you don't have to use 11 feet. Does that make sense? But, you know, like I say, I put all those specs down there in the description. Okay, so here we go. Let's do this first. We'll get all our fids off and out of the way. A little handy dandy fid holder that I got sitting on my desk just out of frame. I say handy dandy fid holder, it's just something I've kind of, I don't know, repurposed. It's not really it wasn't designed for that. It's just, here, I'll show you. What I got is this microcord spool. I can get it out of there. Yeah, I think, I've glued it. It's a microcord spool, and then, like, I don't know, some sort of little plastic hard case, and I've hot glued it together so it won't come out, so I can pick it all up. But then I got all these fids and this little leather pouch thing. I don't know what this was for. I have no idea. I come across it in my shop, and I was like, what was that for? I don't know. But I just, you know, that's my little fid holder. I keep it right over there on my desk. Okay, so with that said, I'll amend all this. Okay, these 2 right here, like I said here, now we'll zoom in. You can see what I'm going to do. Okay, like I said, I'll leave enough here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just take these and fade them back through up under here. Back weave them up under here. Instead of, because me personally, if you look, you see how they're coming out right here at the top of the bracelet. I don't like to cut and burn them right there, because what ends up happening is you get all this movement, and you know there's potential if you back weave it up under. I'll do. Let me look. How did I do this last time? Exactly. Yeah, that's what I thought. What I'll do is I'll back weave them up under this one little wrap around this core strand right here, coming from this angle. Just back weave them. That way they'll be kind of on it toward the middle of the bracelet, and I'll just put a little cut and burn right there. But I'm going to put both of them through that same spot. Makes sense? So get this one fid out. Put this back on here. And this is why I've done, hopefully, will this work? Yeah, I'll get that through there. That's why I left enough on here so I can bend that fid back over and get it up under there. That get a little short, but I'll show you the trick. I showed you this last time. Sometimes this happens where you don't have enough room. The length of your fid and the amount of cord you have in relation to each other, you fold it back over, and I'm trying to get it to go up under right here. Right there. Sometimes you can't quite get it because, like I said, right? a hack. I showed you this in the last one. Here's a trick. If you've never seen this, you go ahead and run it up under there. You push it through mostly. And then you grab your cord and stick it in the end. And then you just kind of you see what I'm saying? You screw it back on that way. I've never seen anybody call. I've seen one person, whatever, and I was like, you know, that makes a lot of sense. I'd never thought about that until I seen that one person do it. But I've never seen anybody else do it, talk about it, suggest it, or nothing. And you just pull it through. This one should be long enough to do it. The other one was long enough. I could have got it through there, but I just figured I'd throw that little tip in there. Because there's been some times when I've gotten down to the end of a bracelet, and I was like, oh man, and that little fid hack, I guess you could call it. I was like, yes, that makes. Okay, now what I'm gonna do? You see how that one I just did was closer to that side of the buckle, and now this one is closer to this side of the buckle. So when I run them through here, I'm gonna keep that orientation the same, so they don't get overlapped. Does that make sense? Okay, you push it there. Mindful of your twist. Don't want any twist. Even when you're doing this, you don't want to twist. Why? Because if you get a twist in this thing and you try to pull it through, it's going to cause it to be a big fat lump. You don't want that. So we got it through there. Kind of press it down. Pull it tight. Pull that one tight. Make sure the front of it looks right. Because we're over here pulling the stuff. We don't want it to get all out of whack. Take our fid off. Put it over here. Okay, now I'm gonna back out. And I'm gonna cut and burn this. Now, like I always say, whatever you use as a smoothing tool, whether it be the edge of your lighter, your little flat smoothing tool, whatever me, I used the end of this knotter's tool. Which you can tell I've taken off, for those who know, I've taken off the end of this thing. But that's what I use. But I always have it at the ready, sitting there ready to go. That way, you know, when you go and you burn this and you got all that molten plastic and it's starting to harden back on it, you're not going, where's my smoothing tool? No, just have it right there ready to go. Like I've always said before, when you cut these things, don't manhandle it. Just cut them. And let them be. Make sure everything's straight first. Make sure you got everything lined up, everything the way you want it, everything's pulled tight and all that good stuff. Before you cut it, cut it. Now on this one, what I'm going to do, let's see how the best way to do this. I'm going to hold it like this. I'm going to put the flame to it like this. And you see, that's how much you got left. There's not really much to anything to do with. So, okay, get our smoothing tool back over here. And I got them right next to each other, so I cut them at once and I'm burning them all at once. And I'm gonna get it hot enough that they kind of meld into one piece. And I always come from the outside of the bracelet and roll toward the middle. That way it pushes all that excess melted plastic toward the middle instead of wrapping it around. You don't want to be able to see it from the front. See what I'm saying? It's all on the back. And we're going to do the same thing at the bottom. Ooh, I took my fids off. I shouldn't have taken my fids off yet. That's okay though. That's okay. No problem. We'll just grab us one fid. Now what I'm going to do down here is going to be a little bit different. This, I'm going to have these 4 cords going up under. You see these are the 2 accent pieces right here. I'm going to have these 4 cords all going up under those 2 accent cords. We're going to go up under here and we'll come out right there. So what's going to happen is these 4 cords, being there's so many of them, it's going to cause kind of a bump right there. So what we're going to try to do, just like we did up here, keeping how one's on one side, one's on the other side, and keep that orientation when you go through there. That way it'll lessen that bump. But down here, it's going to be there because you got 4 cords. So the one that's on the far side, which is the darker accent color, we'll run it through closest to this side. You see, does that make sense what I'm saying? Right? So if you look at it like this, if we hold it up here like this and we take these 4 cords and we kind of lay them out flat, you see how they kind of fall right next to each other? Well, when we run them through right here, we're going to keep them in that same orientation. And that way they'll be as flat as they possibly can. You don't want them all overlap at each other, because what happens is that creates a big old bump there. If you lay them, keep them relatively in the same orientation that they're coming through the back side of the bracelet on, they'll remain flatter. You won't have a big, huge bump there. Makes sense? Because I'll tell you, that bump causes the bracelet to be thicker. And there have been instances where that bump's been so big that the sizing, the add to measurement, is not enough because of that bump. I've learned, keep this as flat as you possibly can, right there. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with the one that's closest to that side of the bracelet. We'll get this thing to focus. Zoom in. Is it going to focus? There we go. You see what I'm saying? Okay, we're going to come back. We're going to put our fid on there. Make sure it's in there good. And we're going to come through, like I said. Let me get it started, and then I'll hold it up there so you can see where I'm going through. Now, this first 2, they're going to go through pretty easy. But the last 2, because it's going to get such a tight spot if I get it through there. See where I went through? The first 2, did I run up under there? No problem. But the last 2 that I run up over, it's going to be tight. So, you know, we're going to have to put some force into it to get them to go through there. When you pull all this through, make sure you don't have a twist in it. I tell you that all the time. You don't want any twists. You want that'll keep it as flat as possible to lessen that bump that's going to be there, because we're putting them all through right there. Okay, we'll take a fid off and we'll go to the next cord. Let's see, which one do we want to do next? I'm going to go with this one right here. It seems to be the one closest to this side. The next one over. Okay. And we're going to run it through the same spot. We're just going to kind of come on this side of the one we just ran through. You know what I'm saying? Mindful of the twist. Don't want to twist it. Get that twist out. I can see it right now. It's wanting to twist. Alright. Take a bit off. Go to the next one. Which one are we going to do next? Let's see. Yeah, I think we'll do this one next. And again, we're going to do it on this side. Make sure it's not twisted. Pull it through there. Kind of push it down, flatten it out best you can with your thumb, and pull right there. Make sure you're not pulling it so much that it's going to distort the front side of the bracelet, though. Take your fit off, move to the next one. Like an assembly line. Ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. Now, we're going to do this one the same way. Up under the same thing, but we're going to do it all the way on this side. See that? Get it through there. Pull it through. Make sure it doesn't have a twist in it. Got it through there. And you see how it's created this little bump right there, like I was talking about? I'll pull it through. Okay, now, let's take our fit off. Put it in our little handy dandy fit holder. Now, we're going to pull each one of these, flatten it out, make sure we got them pulled tight. We're going to flip it over, we're going to look at the front of this thing and make sure it looks good before we do our cut and burn. If something's going on with that right there, what is that? Okay. If you look what I'm talking about, this little piece right here, you can see it. That one right there. You see how it sticks out just a little bit further? I'm going to fix that. But I got to get out these. Let's see. Is that the one that's going to get it? Yeah, that's it right there. All I'm doing is, what it does is it wraps around and it comes out right here, and then this is it. So I'm going to push down on that one, and I'm going to grab it right there where it's coming out. I'm going to just kind of roll it around. See? Flatten it out just a little bit. Now we're going to follow that cord through, and it's going to be, which one is it going to be in here? Is it that one? Yeah, that's it. Let's see if I can get a little bit more, flatten it out just a little bit more. I think that's about as best as it's going to get. Is that it? No, it's this one right here. Okay, now, get all these, pull them all together, kind of flatten them, kind of get them to lay four next to each other as opposed to, you see what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to do here. But these two middle ones, they kind of overlap a little bit. It's not really much you can do, but we're trying to get them as flat as possible. That's it, so you don't have that big lump right there. Okay, now let's one more time. Let's look at the front of this thing. See how it's not sticking out as much. That bump is not sticking out as much. Okay, we're good to go now. I think we're going. We got to cut. We got the okay cleared for cut and burn. All right. Now, like I said, pull them, cut them. I'm gonna cut them like this. Once you cut these things, don't start manhandling it because you don't want them to slide back out of place. Now, we'll get all this out of the way for now. Get the scissors out of the way. Get our smoothing tool at the hand. Okay, I'm going to back out. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. Now, what I'm going to do here, if you can see this, you see how all these cuts, they're closer to that side of the bracelet. So when I go and melt these things, just like I did up here, that means I'm going to come from this side. I'm going to roll this way so it pushes all that melted plastic toward the center of the bracelet as opposed to pushing it that way and it potentially showing. Make sense? It's going to be a big burn. So let's see. I'll hold this at an angle and I'm going to come at it like this. Now, like I've said this in some videos in the past. Bring your flame to the bracelet. Now, I'll have to show you in a second exactly what I'm talking about. That lessens the potential that you will burn your bracelet in places you don't want it to be burned. Now, we all know it happens. Okay, got everything hot. Now, starting from that side, like I said, and roll toward the middle. Okay, and this one's got a big enough burn spot. Y'all have seen me do this before. It's got a big enough burn spot on it that I can use my little leather stamp. I am Paracords of Kindness. My logo's like a little Celtic heart knot, close as I could find. While it's still warm, I'll come back and soften it up just a little bit. Get this up here orientated right, and I'll stand it up so it'll be right there. All I gotta do is reach over and grab it. But this is what I was talking about. Light your flame and bring it to the bracelet. I guess you can light it and bring your bracelet over, but I move the flame, not the bracelet. But this is the most important thing. Don't have it pointed straight at that bracelet and click that button. Because when you click that button, because it's got some pressure, it causes it to move a little bit. And when you do it, it may jerk and hit the wrong place and burn what you don't want it burned. You see what I'm saying? Always light it away. Even if you have a regular old flint wheel lighter, like a Bic lighter, a flint wheel lighter, do it away from your bracelet. And then bring the flame to the bracelet. Right? Light it. Bring the flame to the bracelet. All I'm doing is trying to just soften it up just enough. I can put this on there. Let it harden up just a little bit. You may be able to see it, may not, I don't know. You can kind of see that hard on it. Yeah, if you look at it good, you can see it. Let it cool off just enough, and I'll reach up over my finger. Make sure it doesn't have any little, because, right here where the buckle is, most likely that's going to be on that very sensitive part. So you don't want any hard teats, burrs, neeps, or whatever. You want to make sure it's relatively smooth. And especially since I use this thing, I have to be very mindful of that. And a lot of times, I'll come back like I'm going to do here. And just kind of hit it again. And it'll soften those edges up just a little bit. It'll still maintain that hard look, but it'll soften up some of those hard edges. Right? We're going to let it cool off. Got everything done, everything cut and burned, everything out of the way. We'll back out just a little bit. I don't care how much I wipe this thing off. I always get a little bit of, there's always something. We get our buckle, kind of straighten our buckle up so it looks presentable. That one turned out pretty good. Relatively straight. Makes you see it. Spinach Green, Stealth Olive, and Olive Drab. This is like I've said in some of the past videos. You hold that bracelet here. I do this while I weave. Hold that bracelet like this and look down it like this. And you'll see any kind of anything that's not done right, you'll see it. It will definitely show up. Look down through there. If you can see it, it's kind of hard to see. Yeah, the color's not making it very conducive to see it, but you see how the edge looks pretty straight, and right down through there, everything looks pretty straight. Well, I'll fix all of it. But that's it right there. Now, let's see. How well is this thing going to fit? go ahead and kind of, because this one's, you know, it's a thicker one, so, you know, go ahead and get a little, put you some bends in it, get your buckles bent, or whatever. We're going to go ahead and clip that thing together. We're going to bring out, you guys, like I said, if this would have been made for my wrist, I'd put it on my wrist right here on camera. You know, trial by fire. That's what I call it. Trial by fire to see if it fits. Most of the time they fit. I don't think I've ever made a tutorial and the thing not fit. Doesn't happen now. I've made bracelets. The first time I do it, I have to make them 4, 5, 6 times sometimes to get it all wired perfect and all that. So by the time I get to here, I've already done it a few times and I know what I'm doing. Right? Okay. Some of these I've made hundreds of times. Okay. Y'all seen this thing. Solid piece of wood. It's actually made to size metal bracelets. But what I've done is come back and measured it and put measurements on it. And you just slide it down there and it'll tell you. We'll slide it down. When I say 7 3/4 inches, there's 7 and there's the 8-inch mark. Looks like a 7 3/4 inch bracelet to me. But there you go, folks. That's how I make a harmony. But with that said, I appreciate you watching. Give us a like, give us a share. You know the routine, all that kind of stuff. But I'll end this one like I end them all. Keep it neat, keep it clean, and keep it tight. Happy weaving, folks.